Let's go! Kirby Smart is the greatest college football playoff coach of the modern era. Comment down below, do you agree or disagree? Now notice I didn't say all time, but individually, this season was so freaking special, and we want to celebrate that today. And I understand that there is a big debate. Is 2022 Georgia better than 2019 LSU? And then are they better than 2020 Alabama? I'll save my final thoughts on that at the end of today's video. But obviously, this is a hilarious graphic via the Georgia Instagram page, and it does help having an elite quarterback like Stetson Bennett. But the truth is, I'm going to give you 4 big-time reasons as to why this guy was truly spectacular. Starting off with the obvious, this is the first ever repeat national champion, and that alone deserves praise. It is so hard to do that in this sport with the transfer portal, and I understand Georgia is one of the 5 to 10 teams that recruit well enough to actually win the national championship, and there's going to be a debate. They didn't have to play Alabama this year, but whatever the case may be, Georgia did that mother effing thing. There's no other way around it. Repeating is so freaking hard. And the second thing, obviously, point number 2 here, is they did lose a record amount of draft picks. And this kind of ties in with the national championship hangover. As an LSU fan, I could tell you, after winning an historic national championship team, it is very easy to lose that edge and take your program into the tank. And Kirby obviously did not allow that to happen. Now, once again, Georgia does recruit at an extremely high level, but 15 draft picks is 15 draft picks. Also factor in that they had some big injuries this year. This was a truly special run, but it did help. Unlike 2019 LSU, they returned their quarterback, and they also returned most of their key coaches. So obviously, this was an amazing, amazing run. Boom! I'm looking at you. Yes, you right now. I really enjoy doing the pregame, halftime, and postgame shows. Comment down below what would be your preferred SEC Power Hour live stream schedule, okay? Let me know. I want to do more lives, connect with the fan bases throughout. I understand it's hard. There's so many other SEC channels and content, but I want this to be the absolute best I could possibly make it. So this to me is what really sets Kirby apart from the other coaches is he had this very iconic moment, the best timeout in the history of the sport. And I know that sounds very strange, but timeouts are one of the things that is truly an autonomous thing controlled by the head coach himself, right? And that decision is made 100% by him. Now, it's influenced by other factors, assistants, radioing in through the headset that, hey, we don't like the way we're lined up and so on. But Kirby pointed out in an interview that, they didn't like the look and they had gotten fake punted earlier this year, and that shows someone learning from mistakes made earlier in the season. And obviously, if they don't call that timeout, Ohio State picks it up, the first down, and they probably end up winning the game. So Kirby Smart, I can't think of another coach having a more iconic moment such as that one. Ed Orgeron had a very good timeout, versus Clemson on the final drive at the end of the first half, but still none of that epic importance. So Kirby, phenomenal job getting that timeout in. But now we have got to get to the absolute number 1 reason as to why Kirby Smart is the best coach, and that is via motivation. So this is a picture of Nolan Smith, and this is the wildest quote I think I've ever heard.
They thought we was going to go 7-5. We end up perfect. I could talk trash now.
Bah! Looking at you again. So please subscribe, ring the bell, because I've heard it plenty of times, right? Like when Bryce Young won the Heisman Trophy, I understand he's undersized, but he said that, something along the lines that nobody believed in him or whatever when he was a 5-star, number 2 national ranked player playing for the greatest coach of all time. Say whatever you want in your Heisman Trophy acceptance speech, and Nolan Smith could say whatever he wants, right? But it's ludicrous to think anybody on this planet Earth thought Georgia was going to go 7-5. We can look as long as we possibly can, and we'll never find one human being alive on this planet that thought they were going to go 7-5. Even knowing what happened to LSU a few years ago, Nobody thought Georgia was going to go 7-5. Nobody. But the players believed it. And that is all that matters, okay? Or at least Nolan Smith believed it. But Kirby Smart and the great coaches do a good job of making players believe that nobody believes in them. Nick Saban obviously does that as well. And I'm going to be honest, I was actually one of the people that didn't believe in Georgia. You can actually see the very first video on this channel. The very first thing I said on this channel was Georgia was not going to repeat as national champions, and Tennessee, which seemed like the team of destiny, was actually going to be the one that won the SEC East. Now, Tennessee did, of course, come back to national prominence this year as a solid top 10 team, but the truth is Georgia still bludgeoned them, and they still bludgeoned almost everybody. Now, look, we can get into a bunch of different discussions about the us versus them mentality and the ethics of saying something that is obviously not true. But if a lot of champions that are all-time greats, I mean, they all do it in all different sports, they'll tell you that no one believes in them when they are very clearly the favorites or one of the favorites. Georgia was never ranked below number 3, but that's it, right? Saban and the Kirbys do a really good job of motivating the 5-star athletes, and Kirby is, refreshingly honest about quite a few things. I remember rewatching his preseason or his pre-SEC championship press conference. The guy is just laser focused at all times. It is truly breathtaking to watch that. Now, I'm going to share a Twitter link down below. Kirby Smart's pre-game speech was leaked. I don't know the accuracy of this. This could be a different game entirely, but still, I'll share it down below, a Kirby Smart pre-game speech. But now we like to look into the future. But the first thing we're going to do is actually look into the past, okay? Yes, you're going to lose Darnell Washington. You're going to lose Keely Ringo. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But the first thing is, where does Georgia rank of the college football playoff champions, right? There's honestly 4 different playoff champions of the modern era. You could make the case that they are the GOAT team, right? 2018 Clemson, 2020 Bama, 2019 LSU, and this undefeated Georgia team. And look, I still think it's 2019 LSU. Come at me with all the Power Hour LSU stuff. I understand I'm an LSU fan. I understand I have Joe Burrow in my backdrop here. But I still do think 2019 LSU is the best. Now, once again, you can comment down below your own thoughts. I will say, though, like I've shared throughout, the course of the year, that Georgia's offense this year was better than their defense. And that is the first time you can say that about pretty much any Kirby Smart team. What Todd Monken did in the second half versus Alabama all the way up until now is an offensive masterclass in running 12 personnel, sugar huddles, different formational looks. He was a maestro and, deserved a lot of the Broyles love that he got this year as being one of the nation's best assistants. Now, once again, it helps having a 25-year-old quarterback, and it helps having the 2 best tight ends in the entire sport on the same team. I know the Michael Mayer fanboys will come after me, but Bowers and Washington were just so deadly together, and that was honestly pretty innovative. And while that's not really Kirby, it's still good coaching, right? So, for me, I've got to give Kirby a lot of credit because this was an offensive team. And I honestly, if you really listen to some of the stuff Kirby says in media questions, and I love listening to him talk, you can hear him say a lot of things that are ahead of the curve, right? So the guy is flat out phenomenal, but we're going to see how he does replacing Washington, Ringo, and of course the big one, Stetson Bennett. But the simple truth is this was the best college football coach season of the playoff and one of the best of all times, and you can't argue against the contrary. Again, I know I didn't say any of that smooth at all, but comment down below your thoughts on this video. But will Georgia repeat next season? I don't know. There are a lot of really good teams coming back next year in the world of college football. Obviously, the way David Pollock fired up Nick Saban. I thought that was pretty cool in the pregame. Saban's going to be coming back. Georgia's going to be coming back. What about LSU coming back next year with, their quarterback returning in Jaden Daniels? There's a lot of different teams you can point to as national champions. A long shot is actually Florida State and what they've done in the portal, and they get Jordan Travis back. USC, there's a lot of different schools, but at this point right now, Georgia is the repeat or the favorite to actually three-peat this thing, and it would not shock me if they did, and it is going to take me a lot to not pick Georgia next year to actually win the East. So comment down below your thoughts. Is Kirby's 2023 coaching job the best you have seen? I think it is for me, and that's the great thing about this channel. It is always open for debate. Now, if you can, let me know. What you think of the Power Hour SEC movement? Let's go. Give me tips. Do you want to see film studies? What would you like to see? Would you like to see a breakdown of South Carolina or Kentucky or Arkansas? Just let me know in the comment section below. Okay? Now, one final thing. If we're going to get into the debate of the best teams of all time, pick the one with Joe Burrow. Just trust me with that, okay? It is Power Hour SEC. Boom! And tonight, it's chicken and steak quesadilla night 2. Let's go!